What is up, theology nerds? This is Trip, and it's time to nerd out with your geek out, and I'm here with the man, like the man. Not just any man, not just any daddy, but the Bo Daddy, or the bippity bop bop Bo Daddy. That's what I'm talking about.
Wow, we are off to a good start. This is the catacon of podcasting. Light them if you got them, because this is going to get wild.
Oh, yeah. Dude, okay, you want to hear something funny?
I do?
So I had a, you know how you get these weird emails from people that are like, oh, my job is doing an analysis of people's platforms and stuff.
Right, yeah. Right?
And normally I believe AI wrote what I was reading because they won't even, like, if they email Theology Nerd Throwdown, it's like, hey, Theology Nerd Throwdown. Or they might steal your author name off of iTunes. So it says, hey, Homebrewed Christianity, Trip Fuller.
Okay.
and you're just like, oh, you're just grabbing stuff or whatever. And I'm like, oh, got it, whatever. Well, like, so I got this one email and it seemed like it was written by a person. Then I get this follow-up one. And then I send another one that was like, do you think I'm AI?
Oh.
And anyway, no, I just like your show, and this is my day job. So here's an analysis of your podcast. And it was thoroughly funny, because it like was using all this data, and like it was like everything homebrewed related.
Yeah,
you know, and then you want to know what it thinks, what the whole analysis thinks about Theology Nerd Throwdown?
Oh, I'm hooked. What's going on?
Because one of the comments it makes is like, it went and pulled like 4,000 reviews of the podcast from countries all over the world. Like, I don't know what the reviews are in other countries to like comments on books or things people have ever written about joining a homebrewed class, like whatever. The technology used to find out what people on the internet have said about me, very sketchy, right? Like, this is obviously why we're talking about Peter Thiel later, but I'm like, somebody was playing with the Palantir. But like, its big thing, it was like, well, homebrewed Christianity, unlike podcasts that publish at this frequency, actually tends towards depth and not breadth. And like, it's like, here are the features, like, oh, well, you'll do like series on this, or oh, you have like a whole bunch of people that reoccurring guests, and then half of them come to camp every year. Like, it's like all these things where it's like you just aren't skipping from a new person every time, and they're all, but like, you'll brought up that I will ask similar questions 9 times over the course of a year to scholars with different opinions on it. And I'm like, oh my, what are you doing? Like, I don't have transcripts of everything, and you apparently do. And
they let some spider crawl across all of the transcripts of what you've done in the past and found out, like, oh, there's happens to be a question that you are fond of, but you're like, that's not intentional. It's not like I'm doing that, like, oh, I'm going to ask 9 different scholars this question.
But it's like, most academic podcasts have a hard time bringing people along that aren't in the thing. And it was explaining just how strategic I am, And I was like, yeah, I am, obviously. And
it's good to know that you're intentional and deliberate, and that's have some dividends. That's bearing fruit. It's paying off. That's good to know, right?
But so then, what is the most endearing thing that, quote, keeps listeners long after they've left faith behind?
Long after they've left faith behind?
Yeah, like there's like it started showing me reviews of people like, I still love this podcast. I don't even believe in God anymore.
Oh boy.
And it was like the most compelling thing for homebrew Christianity is all the repeated guests and the Bo Daddy, and it used the Bo Daddy because
No way.
people. It was just like the people that keep listening, they enjoy because they're like your friends, and then you get to hang out with them when you go speak somewhere.
Yeah.
You get to interact and stuff at camp, and so that I was getting on, and while the preview music's playing, people in the chat are discussing getting to meet at camp, and I was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, so
I'm glad you told me this. It's really interesting to hear someone else's summary of you, and they're right about something, which is that between the repeated guests, right? So people get to know them. There's a familiarity with them. But then also there's a novelty in that you bring up emerging scholars and people who are just new into whatever field it is and released a book. Maybe it's their dissertation reworked or something like that. So it's novel enough that it's not just the same thing over and over again. But then you'll have on, long-term relationships with these, senior scholars and authors. And then you have the recurring things like with Diana Butler Bass and with Brian McLaren and obviously the throwdown with me. So there's enough like sinew holding it together. But then you have these live events as well where people actually get to connect. And so it's not just parasocial. Like we actually will be physically our bodies and souls together at camp. It's actually interesting why it works, why it holds together as sort of a cohesive unit, is that you have these different elements so that it's not just the same thing over and over again, but that there's enough variation that it keeps people's attention and they're engaged.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to think about. I would never frame it like that, but.
Well, I just realized I wasn't even using my actual microphone until just now. Does it sound different?
It got a little, the timbre got a little bassier.
Okay, good. Because I don't need to lose my low end when I'm talking with you. Come on. Like I'm already running at a deficit and I'm already running slow because I stayed up to watch another Lakers loss. I can't, but all I got to say is Boston lost in the first round and we're in the second. That's, okay. There's three kinds of NBA seasons. Lakers win a championship. Boston Celtics don't win a championship.
Okay.
And then right around the pit of hell, it's the Celtics win a championship. And in that middle category, when they go out before we go out, it's just better.
Who are they? Who's their opponent in this round?
OKC. They're easily the most talented team in the NBA. Yeah. And Luka's injured, so we're playing with
okay.
Luka's injured and Austin Reeves just came back from injury. Yesterday was the first game he even looked mildly like himself, and he still can't move laterally. So there's really no chance. I just hope they win one game in LA. But LeBron has been doing great. And then you're missing the number one scorer in the NBA. And I imagine if Luka was there, they would have won one of the games because the main we played way better defense than we were supposed to. And then we've just missed some really I think after LeBron and Austin Reeves, there are 8 players on OKC that would start on the Lakers before anyone else plays. I bet like LeBron and Austin would start on OKC. No one else would.
Wow.
But the 8th man on the OKC bench would be a starter on the Lakers. That's
wow.
It's probably what other people feel like when they play the Dodgers in the offseason.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain.
They're a bit top heavy when it comes to the salary cap situation. So, hey, I want to go back to AI for a second. And I'm sorry that you're tired from watching a Lakers loss, but I wanted to just mention this. I told a bit of this story before, but I wanted to tell the second half of it because I think it's so interesting. In Sunday school at my church, we're going through the ABCs, but I've like updated some of them. And on the week that we were up to K, so we do A, B, C, D, or all the way, right? And so each week we do a letter of the alphabet and then theological words that start with that letter. The week we got to K, I know that K is for kenosis, right? And that I didn't change that from previous years. But I did want to bring in this quote that I was fond of, but I haven't used in a while. And I've told this part of the story before. Normally, when I'm on my Mac, I use Safari as my Internet Explorer, and it has a built-in search engine. But it doesn't, I don't have AI empowered. But this morning, I didn't have my laptop, so I used a church computer, which had Chrome. And Chrome has AI embedded in it. It has Gemini just in there all the time. And so I Google as many keywords as I can to try and find this quote by Caputo. And I find the quote right away, like top search gives me what I'm looking for. And then 2 down. So the third thing is Bo Sanders, blah, blah, blah. And so that's the part of the story I've told before. So I was like, whoa, why did I just come up with this quote? And so it turns out that I've used this quote over the last 15 years in so many different contexts, including a website I don't even have anymore, but AI has archived. And I used it in the book that I wrote with Randy Woodley, Decolonizing Evangelicalism. So apparently I'm one of the most frequent utilizers of this quote, right? And so I click on the Bo Sanders thing because I'm a little weirded out why I came up when I'm Googling a Caputo quote. And I'm like, why am I even on this page? So I click on it. Gemini summarized my theological enterprise from the old website I used to have in Everyday Theology, which is still my email. And then all the blogs that I wrote from 2010 to 16 for Homebrewed. And then the book in 2017 with Randy. And it like categorized me. This is my favorite part. This is the punchline of the story. It categorized me as a kenotic theologian.
Ooh.
And as I read Gemini's summary, AI summary of me and my theological enterprise, mostly focused on the practice of faith within community, I got to be honest with you, I liked how I sounded. It was better. It was better than how I would talk about myself. And so I actually am going to put this out on Substack this week. I think I might prefer the AI version of myself to my actual self because it only picks up on the highlights and then groups them in such a way that I thought, man, if I read that summary of me, I'd be pretty impressed versus my actual theological program, which is a bit messy. It sounded really coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my AI story. I might prefer the AI version of me theologically.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Did it know that your stage name is the Bo Daddy?
It didn't.
Okay, then I don't trust it.
No,
it's really.
But I also didn't get a follow-up email from an actual person.
Yeah. Well, we hope it's a person. I don't know. I'm not responding to it. I'm not going to encourage it. But if you are listening and you're like, thanks for reading what I sent you, even though you've never returned an email, I was very amused by it. And there were a couple good ideas in it of like, here are topics your listeners would be interested in that you never bring up. And, I was like, that would be fun. I should just start asking them to Bo on TNT and not tell him.
Side note, somebody asked, wasn't this conversation about the Antichrist supposed to be last week? And that's true. But Tripp had a family yoga day. And and so it got bumped for a week.
Alicia has been doing intensive training for yoga instructor training and just finished. The test exam and everything was last week.
Okay.
And
so she's like a yogi now?
I guess.
There's a test to be a yogi?
Well, you have to do so many hours of class. You have to do exams on like all the body muscle things. You have to
really?
She was like, reading the actual Hindu philosophy stuff that's related to it and all that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
Which I'll say, Bo, as somebody who I know you may not believe this, some people in my life don't want me to go into professor mode when just a random comment shows up over the dinner table.
Okay.
Like I've had to control myself to go, well, actually,
and
I successfully avoided doing it, and like did not say, hey, your husband took 2 different Eastern philosophy seminars when he was a PhD program, and actually has like multiple copies of all these texts and notes and everything on it, and it might be fun to talk about if you. And I didn't do that, and it was one. I felt like I finally have matured.
I'm proud of you. That's real growth.
Yeah, I avoided being told, "Hey, professor, I didn't know we were in class right now."
In fairness, though, Tripp, you don't even like stretching. I mean, I've hung out with you for.
I stretch. I do 2 stretches before I swing kettlebells. Like after you do planks and then you flip over and then you like are thrusting your junk up in the air so that you're stretching out that backside.
Oh my.
So that you don't like if you're doing like a gorilla squat swing, you don't pop nothing. And then whatever you want to call those slow squat things before you get moving. Okay. You're holding the kettlebell but doing a slow squat to get everything like moving right. And then you do some hip stuff because when you go hard with the bells and don't stretch out, the next day is something like my inner thighs right now. Not happy. I did a big ladder kettlebell exercise yesterday where you basically you're going hard for like 2 minutes, then you get 30 seconds off and you go for 2 minutes and you're doing like 10 cleans, 10 bringing it all the way up, right? Pointed out. So like you're like holding them like this, and then you bring it up, squat down, come, press, down, squat, push, up, press.
Oh.
So
wow.
You do like
it's like a whole body workout.
Yes, you do like 10, 5, 5 of that.
Okay.
And then you get 30 seconds and you do it again. And it goes on for like 20 minutes.
Oh gosh.
You get done in your heart rate. My heart rate tracker watch is just like you're in FU territory.
Wow.
Then I sweat for 2 hours. And
just residual. You just keep sweating.
Keeps going. I just sit in front of the fan. I could smoke a whole cigar, still be sweating before I shower because I know if I shower too quick, it's one of those high
keep sweating.
Yeah. But then you look at calories burned. See, this is the logic. You look at it and you're like, "Whoa, that is 2 IPAs."
Yes.
And there's a liquor game tonight.
All right, you redeemed that story. Can I be honest with you? I was a little nervous.
Visualizing me sweaty.
When you were there were a lot of elements of that story that I was a bit uncomfortable with. There was some thrusting.
I was stretching.
You talked about your inner thighs. You used the word hard like 9 times. There were a lot of things in that story that I was uncomfortable with, but you redeemed it by rounding the corner to IPA. I'm with you.
Okay. I'm glad we rounded that corner, though. So this past week,
yeah.
I recorded an interview with Cornell. We're like, pumping up camp.
Yeah.
And
Cornell West, for those who don't know.
Yeah, and he laughed at one of my jokes. And that where I said, you know what the problem of white mainline Protestantism is? And he had this look of like, what's coming up?
Yeah.
I was like, they watch Morning Joe and think they're edgy. And it's like the Morning Joeification of mainline Protestantism is one of the biggest problems in the world. And and he just starts giggling. Then it starts to explain like the problem with the duopoly. And anyway, we were talking about America. I wanted to talk to him about thinking about the 250th anniversary of America.
Oh man, I can't wait for that cage match.
Yeah,
I am so excited about the brawl on the White House lawn.
I know. I mean, when you think of celebrating the like what countries pioneered a multi-ethnic, multi-religious democracy? America, and you're like, what? How could we celebrate it?
Yeah, a UFC
cage fight. And could we? What if like round one? Never mind. I have some jokes in my head.
Yeah.
You remember how WWE, or back when it was WWF, whatever war we were in, they would just like make the bad guys like, here's a Saudi prince, or here's a Russian, or whatever. Like, what if they did something similar for this? Except it's like all the historic evils of America.
Oh no. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to finish the joke. I was sitting there going like, they could do that and actually think it made sense and not notice how horrible it is. But
Josh Patterson's going to be in the ring with RFK Jr. So that
I don't think it's good to get in the ring with somebody that's got like something in his brain, pulls off the side of the road to cut a raccoon dick off. And like, what do you do with that? Right?
No. You know what? Can I just say, I know we're probably not ready to jump into the topic of the day, but can I just say, we're going to return to this cartoonish WWF stuff because we really do live in a time where there's almost like a Christian cosplay going on by the billionaires and the tech bros in Silicon Valley. Like they almost wear Christianity like a mask and play like a WWF character of being like a tradcath. And it really is very similar to this cartoony sort of cosplay world that we live in. I'm so excited to talk to you, by the way, about the Antichrist today. And I know we're only 26 minutes in to banter, but we may, at whatever point that we do round the corner into our topic for the day, I just got to tell you, it's going to get really weird because we live in this upside down time.
Oh, we live in an upside down time, Bo.
Yeah.
And
all the blood is rushing to our head. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. One other question for you.
Yes.
All right. So
is this involve more thrusting?
No, Bo. This is a beer question.
Oh, okay. I'm in.
Okay. The Godfather in homebrew Christianity, Charlie Sheldon, Oklahoma City, who's brewed a number of the special beers that we dedicate to people. Like, if we are working on a beer for Theology Beer Camp this year, and We have, you know who's coming, and there's a couple people coming that do not have beers that have partially because the podcast has just gotten big past the 1 million download mark that are worthy of a beer at this point.
Yeah.
So my thought was we should work backwards from the style of beer we want and then attach it to one of the people. Because here, let me just pull up. Like, okay, so here's the people.
All right.
Coming.
Cornel West.
But he'll have been on twice, so he won't have enough downloads yet. But Ilya will, Gary will,
okay,
Bill will, Diana will.
Yeah.
Then we can go over here.
Yeah. Grace, Adam,
Grace, Tom.
Yeah.
They definitely will.
Dan Cook.
Maybe. I'd have to go look. Like,
I'm just naming people I recognize.
Oh. Those were all people that will have passed 1 million downloads. Sarah Lane Ritchie will as well.
Okay, really?
So, yeah. Huh. So all those people, but I'm saying we should work back from what style of beer we want to drink.
Mm-hmm. And
then we come up with a fun name and match it to somebody.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because normally, can I tell you this? I have an app on my phone. It's one of my favorite apps. It's called Time Hop, and it shows me what happens on this day, 1 year, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way back 15 years. A couple weeks ago, the Deconstructor Ale that you made for Jack Caputo came up. It was the day you sent me the label, and I saved it, obviously, to my photo library, and it came up in my Time Hop. Trip, it is like a snapshot just pulled out of the archive. There are so many things about that label that made me smile. It just instantly took me back to a time where, I mean, you were having so much fun and being so creative, but you also had come into some resources and were able to do some over the top things like make specific beers for honored guests. And I just remember how funny it was. Like when you unveiled that, I think it was at AAR probably. And you unveiled that, and like Jack was like kind of embarrassed, but like also a little honored. But you could tell he had never had anything like that, done for him. I just think it's hilarious.
Oh, that one was a fun one. I remember. It was a winner. So
you're gonna start with the style this time.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then work your way back.
What do we want to drink? Like what style do we want to do?
Here's what I would like if I had my druthers. Mm-hmm. I would like something in the stout porter family. So I want it to be with some pipe tobacco overtones. And you know that I love a little aftertaste of like motor oil. I want a little tar, something, a little bitterness in there. So if I had my druthers, it would be, maybe a porter or a stout with some cherry pipe tobacco hints, right, in the bouquet. And that's what I would like to start with.
Oh.
But I want it to be really hoppy as well, and a little bit higher in ABV.
Well, okay, so if we want dark and hoppy, what about like a hoppy brown ale? Because then it's not going to overpower.
It's in the same
big
family.
Malt background, but it won't be so roasty. That it complicates the hops.
Mm-hmm. I like it so far.
Like a hoppy brown ale with like nuts. You know those like
hazelnuts,
hazelnuts, pecans.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And then we could just call it the big nut brown. The brown big nut.
Oh no. Dude, The double entendres that are going to come out of this are going to be pretty over the top. Because if you've had a couple of those, there's some things that you're going to say that'll sound really suggestive.
What they could maybe the bit is it we serve it during a cornhole tournament.
Yes.
And that way, you're because you want a bigger beer so you don't have to keep refilling it while you're doing cornhole.
That makes sense. Yeah. You'd want a substantial pour so that you didn't have to leave the game to go get a refill.
Right. Like the Big Nut Brown Ale.
Oh, man.
There was this brewery in Torrance back in the day. It closed. It was called The Dudes. They only had one beer that was any good.
Yeah.
And it was their Nut Brown Ale.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was pecans or pecans. I don't know which one's correct and which one's just how rednecks say it.
I was going to bring this up. I noticed you say it in an interesting way.
Is it pecan?
It depends. It's regional. It depends where you are in the country.
Well, I've lived in enough regions that I'm just regionally confused. Like, I don't know if it's Aldi or Aldi, because Scottish people say it one way, people in North Carolina say it the other way, and now I'm just confused. I couldn't tell you which one does it which way. Is it Aldi or Aldi? I don't know.
Well, I know
the grocery store is it pecans or pecans?
So in Ohio, where I was born, they say pecans, but other places around the country say pecan. So I'm always confused on that as well.
See, I know that if it's a pie, it's a pecan pie. I've never said pecan pie. Pecan pie, that doesn't sound like, that sounds too healthy. Like you can't put that much Cairo syrup in the filling of the pie and call it pecan pie. It has to be pecan. Pecan sounds higher in calories.
I count pecan pie as a vegetable in my diet.
Ooh, so a Big Nut Brown Ale.
Yep, it's a vegetable, baby.
It's half the food pyramid right there.
I'm counting it as a veg, and I mean it's essentially it's a health food at that point. Like I'm gonna get enough vitamin B at camp this year. By that I mean vitamin beer. I'm gonna get enough vitamin B, and then with the vegetable content of this beverage, I'm gonna be in good shape.
Look, I'll just say, after 40, I just stopped drinking all the time. So I'll just try to do it once or twice a week, and it really ruins exercising.
You mean 40 years old?
Yeah.
Not 40 beers.
No, after 40 beers. That would have been way too early in my life. And after 40. I started exercising all the time, and it doesn't do you any good. The getting down to, I remember the day my doctor said, Trip, you're just obese. And I was like,
not
what?
Morbidly, just regular obese.
I was no longer morbidly. And I'm like, but I basically starved myself for 2 years and worked out 4 days a week. And she's like, great work.
Going back to your kettlebell.
But I only get 1,900 calories all but 1 day a week. Like,
going back,
you got to get another calories. You got to give me another
calories,
another category. Like you could reinvent husky. You remember like Thick Kids, where they were like, jeans. This is your husky jeans.
Yeah,
and you're like, well, that's got to be worse. The only thing worse would be like piggy jeans or fatty jeans. And you're like, nah, do you have it in husky? Like, well, like why? And also, huskies, extremely fit dogs. They're just dragging junk across the tundra. What about them means like, what do you mean? These kids with a low metabolism and a lot of video games, you're going to associate them with me? I pull people through the Arctic. Anyway.
Two quick stories about fitness. When I was my most fit, after I played semi-pro football up in Canada, when I was my most fit, I would go to my doctor for a checkup. And on that chart of height and weight,
Yeah.
where you're supposed to be in your
The BMI thing.
BMI.
Yeah.
At my most lean, I was categorized as obese because however they calculate those things are not built for my bone structure
or muscle fat ratio.
No. So, when I think I was like 6'3", 265, right? That is so far off the chart. They wanted me down, I think at like 215 or something, 221. And I was like, man, when I played basketball, I wasn't that thin, like what they wanted me at. So then after I quit football and I became a youth pastor, I started powerlifting. I got really into powerlifting and I beefed up so much. At one point, I was like 315 and I had to stop because my muscles were growing faster than my skin could stretch. I woke up one morning. This is a true story. I usually take things to the extreme. So I overdo things. So I'm laying in bed one morning and I'm awakened by this. I thought I got bit in my armpit, and I rush to the bathroom and sleep without a shirt on. And so I lift my arm up to see what's happening, and my skin was actually, like a stretch mark. It was breaking, and there was a little bit of blood. And I was like, oh, I might be taking too much creatine, drinking too many protein shakes, and lifting a little too hard because my skin is actually ripping.
Oh.
Now, on the total other end of the spectrum,
you've managed to avoid that since then, Bo.
Yeah, I've become a man of moderation in my 50s.
You're like, who needs creatine when you can fix bikes?
I do fix a lot of bikes. But on the other end of the spectrum, I just want to mention this back to your kettlebells. The one thing about biking that is fantastic is that, if you go for an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour bike ride, the rest of the day, your body continues to burn the calories even after you've cooled down. There's a name for it. I don't remember what it is. But the kettlebells, like you described, it does that same thing because once you stoke the engine, I think they call it, of your muscles keep burning the coal or the calories long after your workout's over. So biking is a fantastic way to get your metabolism up.
Yeah. You know what I hate though? Well, also when your muscles were outgrowing your skin, I think we should call that your bro daddy phase.
Oh, that's funny. Yes.
Bro daddy.
Bro.
So I hurt myself doing outdoor labor.
Oh no.
And had like a week and a half, almost anything felt bad. That was like half the kettlebell exercises were touching the muscle that got pulled, right? So then by the time it gets better and I go for it, in like a week and a half, I can't do 57-pound kettlebell get up anymore. And I feel it's depressing because I spent like 2.5 years getting to doing a Turkish get up with a 57-pound kettlebell, which was basically, there's 3 or 4 friends at all kettlebell, and I just wanted to be able to do one bigger than all of them. And we will taunt each other when we go to new Turkish get up things, because that's like the most.
It sounds impossibly difficult.
The Turkish get up is like the most hardcore kettlebell exercise. You're laying on the ground, right? And then whichever side you're doing it, you lift it up, right? So now you have to have it locked in. And then your other hand, you're going to push yourself up onto one knee holding it. So now you're going to stand, which is like a front lunge squat, right? Like you're on one knee and one leg's behind you. And now you're standing on that one knee holding it up. And you're still holding the 57 thing up over your head. And then you're going to get back down all the way in the same form and set it down.
Wow.
If you screw up doing one of these things,
Yeah.
right? So you have to know what your limit is and kind of grow it and test it,
Okay.
right? So then I think I'm rested because like sometimes I couldn't do that if the day before I'd worked out hard wrong muscle because I use almost everything in that one exercise, right? I get that sucker up over my head and get up and I start to move and I'm no longer having balance. The moment balance breaks and everything's not locked in, you have a projectile coming down at your body that's half up, half down. And I go like dodging that junk. And now every time I'm just like, I got to do some more get-ups. I got to get this thing back in. And I can do it everywhere except locking it in like this. So now I've started just walking around in my backyard with that thing locked in, talking to the chickens till I can do it again. It's really irritating.
You're motivated.
I don't like, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like LeBron James, where he's like a few years ago.
Oh no.
This stack of chumps, I could make a series out of this, but I'm 41. I just need some help out here. Can you make your open shots, please? Like, have you considered moving your legs on defense? You got to at least keep up with me. I'm 41. Anyway,
you have Lakers on the brain, man. You're into it.
Oh, I have it on the brain a lot. I'm not really sure it's an essential part for the podcast. It's just, I was up late and I'm bitter.
I see. Okay.
Can't lift 57 pounds in the Turkish get up, and Lakers lost.
Well, my story is not as bad as yours, but it is gardening season now in southern Idaho, and I have been doing things with tools and implements that you don't do during the winter. And so there is a soreness from the first couple of weeks of landscaping and gardening that Trip, I got to tell you, I wake up in the morning and, I don't always think like, oh, I'll bet you, like I took out a bunch of sod the other day to create a garden bed. Next morning I wake up and I'm like, whoa, what is going on? Like when I go to swing my leg to get out of bed and I have like, in my core and like where it connects to the front of my legs, I'm like, what is going on here? And, I sort of half stumble up and I'm headed to the restroom and I'm thinking to myself, like I'm having trouble walking and I'm thinking to myself, what did I do yesterday that I feel like I was in a car accident?
Sometimes it turns a mystery.
But it always dawns on me. I'm like, oh, it's the gardening and landscaping because you are like my love handles are sore. The front of my thighs are sore. Like it's weird stuff, man. I'm feeling it, but it's not from doing something cool like a Turkish get up.
Dude, you should get into kettlebells. You'd be good at it.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a kettlebell book.
Okay.
Be like,
I'll try it.
It's fun. Okay. I like it because you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to go for a personal record, I think this will work for you. Here's what you do, Bo. You put your little mat out. You get your bell. You're like, oh, I'm going heavy today. Okay. Then you go on your TV and you load up the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Okay.
And you hit play. Yeah. And you crank it up. And I'm just telling you, like, you don't even need creatine. You don't need to get a bunch of caffeine.
Yeah.
Because when that horn sounds, look for me at the coming of the third day. Oh, junk. And Theoden's like, we're going to ride out. And you're just like, yes. Air horns blaze in your insides. And you're just going for that junk. And then you just say to yourself, this is what Trip does. He's like, wow, I would still be able to play on the ground with my grandkids. That's no, I want you to know how bitter I'll be. And you'll have to voice this at my funeral. If I kill over early, you could be like, you could say, Trip told me to say this. I'm not saying this is doctor approved, but he really feels like he wasted a lot of time.
Oh man, that got dark.
Because I was friends, Baptist world. There's lots of people that are friends with Stan Grins, right? Stanley Grins, great.
Sure, theologian. Heck yeah.
He's a hardcore runner, one of the most healthy people over, and then he just died. And ever since, like, I remember when it happened in divinity school, as he was a Ponnenberg student, right? So, I mean, I've read a bunch of his books. He's connected to a lot of the emerging church people and stuff, and one of the healthiest people. And you're just like, he didn't drink, he exercised all the time, notorious for going to bed early, and then one little blood vessel.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's your moment of finitude, friends. Now we're going to turn on to a really cheery topic like the Antichrist.
There we go.
Now, Bo.
Yep. This is going to be my Helm's Deep right here.
Okay. Before we do that, because I know that Lori in the chat, she likes to smoke cigars during TNT, and I got a special care package this week from a podcast listener for TNT, and they sent me Rojas's brand new cigar that just came out like 2 weeks ago. My cigar shop doesn't even have it in yet, and they sent it to me. It's Rojas Quiet Morning. I'm a Rojas fan, like especially his street taco cigars. Notorious for smaller ring gauge cigars because everybody in America wants these giant things that gives your face aching because they're so thick when you're sucking on them. And it was like made for, right? The promo is it's Quiet Morning, and it's made for like your first cigar with a cup of coffee. And so they sent me a box of it and said, this is for TNT. So I just want to say thank you. And
you're about halfway. You're about halfway down. How's it going?
Oh no, I'm almost done, Bo. But don't worry, I brought others. I don't want to short anyone that shows up for the Antichrist excitement, because there's one cigar for the intro, one cigar for the Antichrist.
Well, you know what? You've picked a good morning to do this, because sometimes it's an equal, like a back and forth between us. And there are other times where, you sort of, it's a topic that's close to your heart. And so you might do 60-40 as far as the talking goes. I have a feeling that today I'm going to do 60% of the talking. So it'll give you plenty of time to enjoy that cigar.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. Here's my thought. First, like, you spent actual time in churches that worry about the Antichrist.
Yes.
So I'm going to get you to explain it.
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready.
I'm going to ask some follow-ups. And then, because someone sent me Peter Thiel's Antichrist lectures that have been sneaking around, because everyone had to sign NDAs to go hear it. Then someone like snuck a recording, transcribed it, and has sent it around.
Right.
I read it. And, I'm already kind of like on the record of thinking he's one of the most super sketchy billionaires. So then I organized my complaints of him into 4 little sections. And so my thought is, first part, you're going to explain the Antichrist. Then I'll tell you I'll tell the sections. And they go basically as like the origin story, like his bio, then like where he's like, screw libertarianism, I think we need techno-authoritarianism. Then him buying power in the Trump administration and JD Vance and stuff, and then all the crap on his Antichrist fear-mongering Palantir company. So we'll go use the 4 things, and you as someone that actually hangs out with people that worry about the Antichrist, you can help us figure out if he is or not. And if we do, who knows? Maybe next Christmas, our play will be a Left Behind Readers Theater with the Antichrist of Peter Thiel. I got enough time that I got more time to do it if we decide what our topic is early, because I know that it only takes one night of Trip going, well, I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. I think I would like to sit here and start playing around with a A Hallmark Christmas movie, but have we done a Hallmark Christmas movie of the Antichrist tech billionaire before? That hasn't even been piloted. No one's even considered it. And yeah. All right, Bill, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready for some Antichrist hype. All my references are Larry Norman songs.
Oh, oh boy, we could talk about Larry Norman. What I thought would be best, because you and I have been talking about this for more than 3 weeks now, and I thought we were going to do it last Friday, but of course we got bumped, and so I had an extra week to think about it. And what I think would be most helpful for people who are uninitiated in dispensational eschatology of the evangelical variety is for me to just do a diachronic narrative, right? Just start at the beginning and work the way through historically how we got to this moment. And that way they're totally up to speed.
So is this like where the idea came from, or like how they lay out the end of the world and stuff?
Where the ideas come from and how they get utilized. Okay.
All right.
So the simplest thing to say right off the bat is that Antichrist is only used in one place in Scripture. It's used twice, and it refers to a very sort of generic or amorphous, undefined spirit or attitude of an age. Okay. And at its simplest, that's the easiest access point into what we're going to get into.
Is it connected to that Persian angel or whatever you talked about?
No, but so that's step 2. We'll get there. That's step 2. So once you have this concept of Antichrist, which is sort of an open-ended folder, what ends up happening in step 2 is that you give it the definitive, the Antichrist, and you start to personify it. Okay. This is where most people get lost instantly. Okay. But you have to stay on this train because there's actually 4 stages and we're only at stage 2. Okay. So in stage 2, you personify this spirit in a manifestation in history, and it's embodied in one person. And that person is thought to be either a world ruler or a religious leader of some kind. And so they're going to play a major role in history. Okay.
Okay.
So you have step 1, the concept, generic. Step 2, you make it definitive, and you give it a personification. Here's where it gets weird. Step 3, you take every bad guy in the entire Bible, including Old Testament prophecy and Revelation, apocalyptic literature, and you amalgamate them. You smash them together like different colors of Play-Doh remnants. You smash it together and you create this epic historical manifestation called the Antichrist, but who has all of these characteristics that you would never in step 1 associate with Antichrist spirit.
Okay.
Or even in step 2, even people who think there's the Antichrist would not know most of the stuff that gets attributed to this concept in step 3. Okay.
Was it intentional that if you smash all the Play-Doh colors together, it's brown, and Peter Thiel is from apartheid South Africa, and his family grew up on this little island full of Nazis who even rose a swastika flag on Hitler's 100th birthday and greeted people in the streets even into the 80s with Heil Hitler? Is that part of this?
This is step 4. We get there in step 4. That's the upside down. All right. So I'm going to walk through this again. So step 1, you get the concept. Step 2, you make it definitive and personify it. Step 3 is you amalgamate every bad guy in the Bible into one sort of Megatron, superpowered baddie for all time.
Voltron. It's like Voltron.
Okay?
All those little, all those
the
little
cars.
tiger things get together.
Yeah.
And then there's a big Antichrist sword.
There you go. So the reason I bring this up is because for your average homebrewed listener, if you just took the Bible, right, and read it, you'd have some concept like, okay, there's an Antichrist, right, that John warns us about in his letters. But if you're a mainline Protestant, you might be like, but where do they get the concept of the Antichrist? Because that's not how it's used in Scripture. So that's stage 2. Even somebody who believes in the Antichrist in stage 2 might say, but I'm confused about where this other stuff comes from, like the 10 kings of the earth, right, in Daniel. And then, but then it's tied into the kings in Revelation 17. Like step 3, for people who are at step 2, step 3 seems a little bizarre. Okay. Now here's where it gets even weirder. For those who are in step 3, like I grew up, evangelical, eschatology, influenced by dispensational understanding, right? Like premillennial, pre-rapture, that kind of stuff. Even those of us who grew up with stage 3 understanding of the world historical bad guy Antichrist still would be confused about what is happening now with Peter Thiel and the Silicon Valley billionaires utilizing the concept of Antichrist in step 4, because what they do is they take the Play-Doh smashed together of the remnants amalgamation, they turn it inside out, upside down, and they use it in the exact opposite way that people in stage 3 use it. So,
okay, can you give an example?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I mean, I did watch public access TV for entertainment's sake in college with other religion majors to see this played out, but I just kind of want to.
Okay. So what I did, Trip, you're going to like this. I went up in my study and I found the first book I ever bought when I got my calling and I enrolled in Bible college. Canadian Bible College in Regina, Saskatchewan, 1992. This is the first book I bought, is the Bible Dictionary by Eerdmans. Okay. It was revised in 1975 and I bought it in 92. And when I need to go back to how it all started, this is what I go back to make sure that I've got the basics accounted for, right? And so I want to read to you the entry in the Bible Dictionary from my evangelical charismatic Bible college. I want to read this to you because I think it'll get us started in a really good way, okay? And we'll end up talking about what Peter Thiel does with it. But I think you should have...
Okay.
So
it's taken 16 years for homebrewed Christianity to finally read a Bible dictionary.
Listen,
on air.
This is how bad things are in the upside down world right now, is you have to go back to the original just to get some orientation. Because what we are so untethered and unmoored from anything that makes a modicum of sense that it has driven me back to my evangelical roots to just make sure I have the basics down. Okay, here we go. You're going to like this. By the way, this is how evangelicals teach theology. It's so funny to me now. You ready? Antichrist, a demonic adversary of Christ, although this term occurs only in 1 John 2:18, 22, chapter 4, verse 3, and in 2 John 7, the concept is present in other biblical passages. Okay, did you catch what they did there? So the term
only shows up in John.
Yes, but the concept is in other places.
Okay.
This is stage 3 thinking. Okay?
It's metastasized now.
You're going to like, guess where it goes from there?
Russia?
Old Testament.
Okay.
which
Are
is
Nephilim involved?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should give Nephilim partial cred because I'll just say, Bo, your guess was correct that there were a whole lot of additional downloads at an episode called The Nephilim that
it did well.
occasioned people sending me messages that were like, I'm so glad I found this podcast. Like, do you deal with biblical conspiracies all the time? And I was like,
no, we do
somebody's
not.
going to be disappointed. But luckily we got one right now. So we got stage 3. It's
All right,
only
ready?
in John, but nonetheless, the Antichrist.
Concept.
You got creeping Antichrist all over the Bible at this point.
Are you ready to go on a journey?
Oh boy, I've buckled my biblical safety belt.
Possible roots of this name may be found in the Old Testament, the sons of Belial, which is in Judges 19:20, were extremely wicked individuals who violated all ethical codes of behavior. In one of Daniel's visions, the fourth beast with 10 horns made war with the saints until its kingdom was taken away and given to the Son of Man in Daniel 7. This is most likely a metaphor for the Roman Empire, an intensely destructive power. Okay? Now, you're going to want to keep a pin in the Roman Empire, because when Peter Thiel talks about it as the catacon, he uses it as a positive example. So that's the upside down. So evangelicals in stage 3 use it in one way, and then Peter Thiel in stage 4 uses it the entirely inverted way in the upside down. Okay?
Okay.
The Old Testament, however, does not concentrate all evil in one entity serving Satan and called the counter Messiah. Now we get to the New Testament. John applies the term primarily to those who deny that Jesus is the Christ. 1 John 2:18. The apostle uses the singular form with reference to a person who will embody all anti-Christian activity, and the plural to indicate that many are already opposing the work of Christ, namely those who have left the fellowship of believers. At verse 22, he tries to combat the heresy of former believers who now deny the incarnation or the heterodoxy of, I don't know that heretic, who taught that Christ descended on the Son of Man only for a time. Irenaeus reference to the possible meeting between John and this guy.
That's like the adoptionist heresy?
Yeah.
Like where Jesus gets, okay.
Yeah. So in 1 John 4 and 2 John 7, the author opposes those who deny that the Word became flesh. The Antichrist is he who would differentiate between the man Jesus and the divine Word. For John, the Antichrist is not first of all a power opposing God, but one who alters the basic confession of the faith in Christ. Now, when we go to Paul, now keep in mind, Paul doesn't use this phrase, but the concept they say is there. Paul believes this person, the man of lawlessness. Okay, so this is the amalgamation, the Play-Doh smash, would be revealed before the return of Christ. That's in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Writing in apocalyptic language to the Thessalonians, he warns them that this person would display his ominous power just before the parousia or parousia. That's one of those pecan words. Thus, Paul argues that Christ's second coming was not imminent. In his description of the man of lawlessness, the apostle employs the language of Daniel 11, saying the Antichrist would exalt himself against every so-called God, Daniel 11:36, or the object of worship, so that he would take his seat in the temple of God, verse 31, and proclaim himself to be God, verse 32. The great apostasy, Isaiah 14, verse 13. Evidently, Paul found a definite connection between the man of lawlessness and the historical figures who waged war against God's people. Antichrist, for the fourth Epiphanes, alluded to in Daniel 11, may have been such a person, yet clearly the emphasis is on the Antichrist in the future, not in the past. The man of lawlessness represents all of those who follow him and are committed to his godless philosophy. Just as Christ is united with all believers through time, so the Antichrist embodies all forms of godlessness, past, present, and future, the work by his disciples. When, after the removal of what is restraining him now, the man of lawlessness has an opportunity to reveal his concentrated evil power in the caricature of the righteous one, he will meet Christ, who will destroy once and for all manifestations of godlessness. 2 Thessalonians 2.
But
We're almost done.
Okay, this is getting crazy.
I know. Many commenters believe that the beast arising from the sea in Revelation 13 is another description of the apostate nature of the Roman Empire. Certainly, some of the Roman emperors of the 1st century AD claimed to be divine. The Bible, however, provides neither narrative nor concrete historical details designating a particular person as the son, as the Antichrist. And it continues like this, as the embodiment of evil. So I just want to say what's happened here. Okay? And then we can get to your questions. The term Antichrist is used a very specific way, stage 1. Stage 2 gets personified and concretized. Stage 3, you take every other characteristic of every other bad guy in the Bible, the Daniel prophecies, references in Isaiah to some person, anything in Revelation, like Revelation 13, the Mahdi, the beast that arises from the sea. You take some stuff from Paul and Thessalonians, and you smash it all together to create this ultimate baddie. Okay? Even if you were at stage 3, evangelical eschatology with dispensational influences, you still could not comprehend what Peter Thiel does with this in stage 4.
Okay, so, all right. There are some similarities to what you just described in those first 3 stages to how the Nephilim thing functioned, right? Where you got a few verses of Nephilim or a few verses in John for the Antichrist. Then you have anxiety around and that's generated in a time of crisis.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is a real problem. Obviously, the answer is to take these few verses around the baddie and amalgamate it into a suprapersonal demonic force by seizing other verses out of context and then turn it into a hermeneutical key to leverage the entire Christian tradition as like a weapon against your new amalgamated baddie.
Agreed. Now, can I just say, as bad as that sounds, it's still favorable to what's happening currently in stage 4. So I know it sounds crazy, and it really is crazy, but it still has an inherent or internal coherent logic to it.
Okay, so but here's a couple of questions. These are the things Tripp knows mostly from Larry Norman songs.
All right.
Like, isn't the like what about like the Mark of the Beast and stuff? I know the song 666 by Larry Norman.
Yes.
I remember I loved Larry Norman. Half the song's great, social justice ones. Then he has a bunch just about like God loving everyone, teachings of Jesus. He's got his songs about like America wasting money on the military industrial complex and a space program, but can't feed poor kids or educate African American citizens. And you're like, this is high quality material. Then randomly he's like, the Beast from the East and 666 and Marks, and not Marks like Carl, Mark of the Beast. So like, can you like if my reference point of stage 3 is the Larry Norman songs that made me uncomfortable when I realized what they were,
right?
Like, where's like Mark of the Beast energy, numerology, foreign policy, like what, like when all of a sudden Russia is the amalgamation or whatnot? What was going on?
So the Antichrist, right, is this historical figure. It ties into the same time period that you're talking about in the future / present, depending on how you view it. And the Mark of the Beast is part of the system. It functions in the same ecosystem. So in order to buy and sell on the markets, you have to have this mark of the beast. Now, people have thought it's everything from the chip in your Visa card to your computer or your phone, right? Some people have thought that it was like an actual mark, like a tattoo or a chip that'll get implanted in us in the future, and we'll just pay by waving our hand over the at the checkout. But in order the Antichrist will be ultimately in charge of this, or will be the pinnacle person in this economic system, which is also a religious system, which is also a political system, and it is centered in a relationship with Israel. So this is part. So some people think it means that the Antichrist will have at least partial Jewish heritage, or that they'll just have a special relationship like Trump does with Netanyahu. But it involves Israel. And this is where the Russia thing comes in, because in this global conspiracy, Russia both plays an ally role in that they're part of whatever covenant this is that gets made with Israel, this peace accord. But ultimately, when the Antichrist, so there's this thing called the apostasy. Do you know about it?
I'm going to guess, since you put the word "the" in front of it, I don't.
So in this historical script, the church is deceived by this baddie, this Antichrist, and falls away from following Christ to follow this other character, and that's called the apostasy. When they find out that this person is a snake oil salesman and a liar, the church has abandoned their Christian commitments and their loyalty to Christ and has been sold out. The covenant with Israel is broken, and part of that is the role that Russia plays in bringing war from the East. So this is why you always keep your eye on the Middle East, and specifically in Israel. You always watch for covenants that are made by powerful people, whether it's popes or American presidents or leaders of the EU, because everyone is suspect of being the Antichrist. But there are some really defining characteristics that you know are going to come. For instance, it's not just their relationship to Israel, but it's also their seduction of the church to lead them astray in what will ultimately be the apostasy. So it's a religious, an economic, and a political figure.
But the economic side is not generally suspicious of large amounts of wealth being accrued in a few people that are no longer accountable to like nation states, laws, or the flourishing of their neighbors. Like you don't like, oh, there's an economic critique of the Antichrist. We probably should be like super sus of Mammon's biggest fans, given Jesus is like, you can serve me or Mammon.
No, unfortunately, it never results in that sort of an analysis.
Okay. So, but yet, so there might be, if conspiracy adjacent podcasts come out, we could just start a whole nother channel explaining the Marxist interpretation of the Antichrist with reappropriating Lord of the Rings references, right? You know, that see, I feel like I'm already halfway there. I don't even have to know what any of this is. I can start doing it. You say Bible verse, I'll be like, Marx was right, and it probably has something to do, and Tolkien knew it. Then I feel like that, and then we throw in an occasional giant blood, you know, and a Persian spirit, or some of, you saw that video I sent you that Tim made, where they were like calling that video. Okay, by the way, people, I brought up the Nephilim thing with Tim Whitaker from the New Evangelicals. And I was like, you won't believe some of the crazy stuff people are sending in. He's like, I don't believe it. What are you talking about? Like, I hang out with this stuff all the time. And he sent me this video he did. And it was so crazy. I sent it to Bo and I'm like, there's a video in this video, like during the 2020 stuff, right? There are some people praying to get territorial angels from Africa to come over to help Trump win 2020. And I was like, oh my, it's like, do you want to go down that rabbit hole? That's what, and I'll just say my algorithm wants me to, Bo. It now is like, this guy's fascinated by weird right-wing religious conspiracies, and I'm just going to keep showing it to him. And then I keep looking at it, and then I look at the number of views and go, oh my goodness, we're screwed. That's Does Epstein fit into the Antichrist yet?
Boy, that's a good question, man. I haven't rounded that corner yet, but that's interesting.
So when we come up with our theory so we can make real bank, we're going to weave it in. The Epstein class is the spirit of the Antichrist.
Wait, put up Colton's comment. Yes, the classic Bible verse. Marx was right. Lord of the Rings, Nephilim pipeline.
That's what I'm talking about.
That old trope.
Pioneered here at Theology Nerd Throwdown. When we were worried, people like you maxed out at getting enough people that are interested in process takes and stories of trying not to suck its mainline Protestant clergy and rebuilding bikes and community organizing and engaging science. And who needs to do that when you can do the high quality return, very popular pipeline of Bible verse Marx, Lord of the Rings, Nephilim? That
man, I'll bet you that if somebody went who was uninitiated in all of this went on a road trip with me, I wonder how long it would take them to figure out what the hell I was talking about. Because you'd have to know all four of those things. You'd have to know Bible verses. You'd have to know Marx. You'd have to know Lord of the Rings. And then you'd have to know about modern conspiracy theories.
But you only really got to know one of them to get as a gateway drug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, is Donald Trump Denethor?
Oh,
and you're like, ooh, that's how it starts.
Of course he is.
And then you use AI video to have like him, you take the Denethor scene in the movie where he's just grossly eating tomatoes. And never mind. I've thought of some where you could change the tomatoes.
Dude, you have to
never mind.
Any type of Mad King / Worm Tongue conspiracy.
Oh yeah,
you instantly I'm in.
Netanyahu is Worm Tongue whispering in Trump's ear. So just like you're going to be greeted as liberators. Iran is just waiting. You just need 48 hours. They're going to say thank you.
The people
this is great. An uprising. He looks at everybody else in his cabinet, and they're like, this is a bad idea. It's not going to work. Our history of thinking quick regime change in the Middle East works out well. It doesn't. It generates terrorists and ongoing frustration for us. And every time we war game this out, there's a strait, and it creates problems. And you could have like a lot of gas prices going up, and that affects all sorts of stuff. Don, you don't want to do this. And then Worm Tongue's like, but you do. Look at my sweet PowerPoint presentation of you being greeted as a liberator. And the Persians love big gold statues. You remember in the Bible, Nebuchadnezzar? They might want a big Trump one. And he's just like, this is the greatest idea I've ever heard. It reminds me of my ballroom. I love ballrooms. I could have a second ballroom overseas. My overseas ballroom.
So you asked about Epstein. Let me tell you why that becomes important. So Trip, my exit from evangelicalism started in 2006. And that's important when it comes to this Antichrist thing, because the last time I was really an insider, let me tell you what was going on. the European Union had introduced the euro, and it was replacing local denominations of money like the franc or the ruble.
They were integrating the economies of the EU.
Okay.
So they serve as an additional counterweight to the neoliberal hegemony over against the rising China threat.
Yeah.
And just imagine if the Chinese were Russian, Bo. I think that would be catnip for the situation.
So the 10 big countries that started this whole EU thing were thought to be the 10 toes of the statue, right? In Daniel 11. Is it Daniel 11?
I'm going to take your word for it. It talks about the toes.
Yeah, on the statue, there's 10, right? The 10 are thought to be.
I know we have 10 toes.
The 10 kings, the 10 kings of the earth.
Oh, yeah, that's transparently clear.
Okay. Let me tell you why this is important. There's a way of reading the Bible that we haven't talked about yet, right? And I think it's the elephant in the room, that if somebody were listening to this and they'd be like, I'm sort of tracking, but I don't get the hermeneutics. I don't get what's the mechanism for interpretation. And the thing you're missing is there is a hyperlink permission that you, as somebody who approaches a text as a coherent whole, you don't think the same way that folks who are in stage 3 eschatological interpretation do. So there's a permission to interact with the Bible in a way that you would never, ever think to do it. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If you're in the Old Testament, like Daniel, and it talks about these, so the 10 toes on the king, the statue of the king, are the 10 kings of the earth. Okay, you would never say to yourself, hey, doesn't the book of Revelation mention something about kings in the end times? And then flip over, and all of a sudden, the thing that it says in Revelation 17, I believe it is, about the kings, you say that's the same thing that Daniel 11 is talking about with the 10 kings. They're the same kings. So there's a way of hyperlinking anything. Here's how you get there. The 10 founding countries of the EU, that's the mark of the beast, is the euro. It was prophesied in Daniel with the 10 kings. And Revelation says that these kings will submit to the Antichrist. Okay?
Okay.
You would never get there on your own if you weren't taught to read the Bible this way.
I believe that it would be hard to get there.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of Christians that are probably not familiar enough with psychedelics to get there.
But once you have this hyperlink permission, Trip, it all connects like in a beautiful mind when he has that board up on the wall that has the red string tied from here.
It's more deranged mind than beautiful at this point. It's more of like that Glenn Beck peak conspiracy on Fox News with his chalkboard.
Same thing. It's the same hermeneutic. So,
do LDS get into Antichrist stuff?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he's LDS, but he had all that big conspiracy energy.
All right. Here's the thing. I would say it doesn't matter. And this gets us into Peter Thiel. And here's why. These folks that we see, whether it's Glenn Beck on TV or Peter Thiel behind the scenes at this event, and we got to talk about that event, by the way. They use Christianity as a puppet. So, like, it really doesn't matter, I think, if people like Glenn Beck in his LDS faith has an eschatology. They use evangelical atonement theory and eschatology for their own purposes. So they masquerade as conservative Christians for their own purposes. And this is where it gets really confusing, because if you don't understand that it's a grift, that you're being played and punked, then you say, well, I mean, they use Bible verses and they talk about, Christianity. So you don't understand that you're being played, you're being manipulated, right? And as Zizek talks about in The Puppet and the Master, that Christianity is now the puppet, and the master is using the Christianity as a device to get people to do what they want, to submit to their power. It's a deceptive mask, a masquerade.
All right. Now, Bo.
Yes.
I told you, like, my experience of this was playing drinking games, watching public access TV.
Yeah.
And when I searched once on Instagram for Jack Van Impe clips, Jack Van Impe and Rexella, which was just that was my moment, where I was like, man, this is wild.
It is wild.
In the past week, it's shown me a number of his predictions. And I made a list of them, Bo. So I'm going to read these things, and I just think it's wild. Okay, this is Jack Van Impe material. I also pulled up a few from John Hagee. He was the other person I remembered watching.
Trip. I just need to mention. Let me just say how deep I was into this stuff.
Okay.
After I left Canadian Bible College, I ended up finishing Bible College in Redding, California. I went to Simpson College in Redding, California. Let me tell you two things you've said so far that tie into that phase for me. We used to go up to Mount Shasta and pray against the spirits. Like, we really thought, you talk about mountains having spirits or being like the house of demonic.
Like that weird
power
thing over on that one thing I sent you where they hiked up to Mount Everest to do battle with like the Mount Everest demon.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the world?
We used to do that at Mount Shasta.
Yeah. Was your demon not as big as the Mount Everest demon? Does the size of the demon correlate to the size of the mountain?
Well, what threw us off is that the town of Shasta had like crystal shops.
Oh,
it was very new agey.
Yeah.
And people smoked a lot of pot.
How big is the like Sedona evil spirit?
It's pretty big.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
So the second thing is,
I bet the Christians aren't even Christian there. There's just a demon running around like Frank Peretti.
Yeah.
And
go
ahead.
I used to love Frank Peretti.
I bet you did.
Yep. So, but here's the second tie-in. I would go to school in the mornings, but I was a married student, so I lived off campus. And then I would go home at lunch. I had recorded Jack Van Impe, and I would watch that, and then John Hagee would come on. And that's how I would watch over my lunch hour before I went back to Bible college.
Okay. Bo?
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you these things that came up in my YouTube shorts and Instagram shorts this week, but then I need an explanation how you went from that to listening to homebrewed Christianity. Okay. So Jack Van Impe, he calculated that the word computers, like if you put it in numerology, is 666. He said that black holes are where hell is.
Oh my!
Like obviously Y2K. There was a number of Y2K things, but that's the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. That didn't work out. Jack Van Impe also very convinced that UFOs are demons that you can see. He was convinced that the Antichrist was going to force a merger between Christianity and Islam and And people like Rick Warren and Robert Schuller are secretly promoting Chrislam, the amalgamation religion of the Antichrist. He had a whole thing explaining the Cold War in Ezekiel that was just so confusing because both the foreign policy and Ezekiel seemed unfamiliar to me, but he was very convinced and Rexella was excited. He had 5 different dates that there was a video montage of him picking dates, and there are 5 different ones, one of which used the Mayan calendar, which I don't understand. Like when you're talking about hyperlinking, I don't know how you hyperlink to the Mayan calendar
because it counts down, so it has a 0 day.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. John Hagee. John Hagee said the Antichrist was going to be partially Jewish and gay.
Yep.
You said yes, like that's obvious. Like, yeah.
No, I just mean that's a common thing I hear.
What's up with his? I still don't I watched some videos of him going on about multiple blood moons, and I don't know if there's a hyperlink Bible verse for blood moons, but he was really good about that. The Antichrist was going to be Caesar.
Jesus said
the EU.
Jesus said the sun will be blocked out and the moon will appear as blood.
I know, but why are there 4 of them? And why is Jesus talking about the destruction of the temple? Something about 4. Now there's 4 of these moons, and you end up with the Antichrist being in charge of the EU and reclaiming the title Caesar.
Yeah.
And if you win,
you seem confused, but this all makes sense. If you win a
Nobel Peace Prize, you're probably working for the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Gog Magog setup is?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me? Because it was all like, oh, well, if you read Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog Magog setup just shows how Iran and Russia are hooking together. And I was like, what is Gog Magog setup?
You get it.
Well,
so if you have the Persians, right, and they're in some sort of covenant, but always a contested. So there's like a peace alliance, but it's between these 2 warring groups, these peoples. So Gog and Magog are like 2 strongholds, but one is Persian, and then the other one is thought to be Russian. But they're two superpowers, mighty war powers.
Okay, now here's my favorite John Hagee one. That the idea this guy's not on drugs just blew my mind at this one. Okay, there's going to be a Jewish financier of the Illuminati backing the Antichrist. And this was what he talked about the week after he did his gay Jewish Antichrist sermon, where the Jewish financiers were secretly behind a satanic Illuminati plot in Europe that would bring the Antichrist to power. And like, it's like straight, it reads like medieval blood libel material.
Yeah.
But John Hagee, like, is friends with half the Republican Party, so it just makes it super sus.
Mm-hmm.
And he even called the Holocaust God's real estate plan. What? Look, I don't even exactly understand how mass murder turns into a real estate plan, but it was something like the deaths were worth the reestablishment of Israel.
Ouch.
And I'm like, what? Okay. Like, I hadn't really messed with any of this stuff until I saw someone tweeting about Peter Thiel being the Antichrist, and I was like, that seems reasonable. And then
did you see Jeffrey Pugh's comment, by the way?
No, I'm gonna have to slide back. I love Jeffrey Pugh. I think
go find it. It's really funny.
Okay. Peter Thiel isn't the Antichrist, but he does get the Antichrist his cigarettes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Man.
All right.
I want you to know on Substack, Terry, who's, you can't see the Substack chats, he is as confused as me as to how anyone could be vulnerable to this kind of material. He's thoroughly confused. And I understand it's confusing but apparently, okay, so all that kind of stuff's going on. You're familiar with that. Somehow you then end up listening to homebrewed Christianity and going to Claremont for a PhD, Bo. So there is an off-ramp available.
Yeah.
So I need to hear, this is our good news moment of the day.
Okay.
You're going to explain how this happens.
Okay. It was a simple 3-step, I believe in perfect storm theory. Like if you have a real crisis, there are probably 3 smaller crises that converged or conflated to become a bigger one. Here's what happened to me. The Y2K hysteria that led into the 9/11 anti-Muslim hysteria.
Yeah.
Really scared me about how vulnerable to panic we were as evangelicals. Then I was an apologist, and when I would speak at youth summer camp or college weekend retreats for things like Campus Crusade or Youth for Christ or groups like that, in the early 2000s, I noticed that people stopped asking me the questions I had been trained to answer in the 90s by Josh McDowell and Ravi Zacharias and other apologists.
Now, do those people do Antichrist stuff? Or are they just like, we're proving Christianity?
Yeah, I don't think they do much of that. But I did notice what ended up becoming called the postmodern shift. I noticed it. People weren't concerned with things like dating the earth through Noah's flood and all sorts of other things that, I was good at answering, creation and evolution, all that sort of thing. And there was a cultural shift where it wasn't assumed that people would go to church, but they just wanted to go to a different kind of church. And even in like premarital counseling, I went from Trip having never married a couple that lived together before they were married to only meeting with couples who lived together before they were married. So whenever it was like an all or nothing thing, right? So both as an apologist, I just noticed something changed in the early 2000s. And I didn't know what it was. So I started reading things. I started listening to Leonard Sweet, Napkin Scribbles.
Okay, so this is your gateway drug.
Yep. N.T. Wright wrote a thing about trusting the Bible that I still use to this day. I love it so much. And Brian McLaren's A New Kind of Christian. Well, even like Donald Miller's Blue Like Jazz, I knew something was changing, and I didn't know what it was. And so that's why I decided to go back to seminary and how I ended up moving to Portland. So that was in that 2006, 2008 window. The third part of my perfect storm was the release of the Left Behind novels. And when eschatology became fiction, you can't believe, Trip, how frustrated I was. I had a wall chart. People make fun of the wall charts. Like in our chat, somebody said about the wall chart. I had an actual wall chart about how the end, right, of history, the end times would unfold. And I had this big thing that I did based on the 70 weeks in Daniel chapter 9, where I could prove that Christ was the fulfillment of that prophecy. And no one cared anymore. Like, I had done an entire biblical prophecy weekend where I walked people through the biblical prophecies of the end times. I got to refocus my camera. And then suddenly no one was interested. And this Tim LaHaye Jenkins Left Behind eschatology and Left Behind became like the obsession. And I became an outsider in my own evangelical community because I was like, you guys, these are essentially comic books. And then they actually released a comic book.
Yeah, but also comic books are cooler. Right? So they do have MCU energy, right? That's they take all the different books of the Bible and then they hyperlink random parts together and then you get Endgame.
Yeah. So basically what happened
with the EU half Jewish gay Illuminati funded master lord new Caesar.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So basically what happened to me post Y2K, post 9/11, post Left Behind eschatology is I, from 2004 to 2008, realized this is essentially Dungeons and Dragons. It's just, yeah. And I just realized the way we read the Bible and what we do with the Old Testament and the book of Revelation and some of the things Jesus said and a couple things Paul said. And I just realized, this is, well, now I call it a social imaginary. But so I got an
what I hear
iPod.
is like things stop being weird. Like the perfect storm shows up and you're like, what I was trained for and what I'm good at.
Yeah.
It's not connecting, but comic book eschatology is. So then you're like, I'm going to listen to Lynn Sweet and N.T. Wright.
So I got an iPod.
Then you go to George Fox.
Well, I got an iPod first in 2006.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I started listening to Rob Bell in Mars Hill in Michigan and Len Sweet so that I could listen to the Napkin Scribbles. And then obviously iTunes offered me like, hey, if you like these, you might like these other things as well. And that's how in 2008 I found Homebrewed Christianity.
Oh. So did you find it like the first time Rob Bell was on the podcast?
No. Long before that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when Zach Lynn from Jimmy Eat World, like the drummer for Jimmy Eat World who listens to podcast, we had dinner with him and Rob that one time. We won't go into that story right now, but he emailed me.
Well, one of us had dinner. The other was outside crying.
Well, look, and people have to ask at camp what that story is because I don't think it's a podcast story.
No.
But Zach is like, oh, you got to interview Rob about his new book, Love Wins. And because I wasn't like keeping up with people being angry and on the internet. So then I get it and read it and I'm interviewing Rob and I'm like, people seem really upset about this. I'm pretty sure this is what Gregory of Nyssa said. Like,
wait, can I do your professor? Actually.
Well, actually, I was like, how are you getting farewelled by like articulating in a compelling way the eschatology of the dude that worked out how the relationship of the three persons of the Trinity worked? Like, I mean, this isn't like, I'm not saying everyone has to believe it, but I mean, you know how many people with Saint as their first name say this stuff? And anyway, and I'll just say that interview was triggering to the wrong people. I feel like I got new hate listeners that week.
Do you know, let me tell you the first 2 episodes of Homebrew, I think that I remember listening to. Bruce Epperly, Introduction to Process Thought, where he had you talk about your pets. And that was one of the most paradigm shifting moments in that window of time. Is like, do pets experience reality or existence in some way analogous to how we do? Like, is that possible? So that was interesting because, you know, I came from a very Cartesian duality where humans are different than nature, right? And so nature isn't sentient, right?
Oh.
They're very different. So then the other one was Michael Dowd, Thank God for Evolution, 2007. I actually got a little sick to my stomach because I had never heard evolution talked about in that way before. And it made me so deeply uncomfortable that I did get a little nauseous. And then within a week of reading his book, because I ordered it, I was like, oh, I might not be a Christian anymore.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you survived.
Yeah, me too.
You're
Me
one of my
too.
favorites.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
I mean, I'm biased, I guess. Like, you like, I don't, you like having high quality IPAs while talking about theology, and
I do, yeah.
And you like playing on the internet.
I do, yeah.
And plus, you volunteered to edit some when we first met, that is a servant's heart award.
Yeah.
It used to be really hard to edit.
I actually enjoyed the editing because back in the day, you weren't quite as focused as you are now. And I actually thought in those years, so 2010 to 14, I actually thought that I helped the show be more listenable to the average person.
I'm sure you did. What's funny is, like, we recently had the 16th birthday of the podcast.
Yeah.
And when that happens each year, I'll go back and listen to like a couple of the really early episodes. And I always notice things. And I listen to some of the early TNT episodes. So like when Bo was at Claremont, we would do this, but you only audio streaming. Right. And people would leave voice messages, and then we'd interact with them. And Bo would trigger people on the blog, get material, and then trigger me. And there, one of the episodes we were doing, and it was like after me and you and Jeremy did something on like process thought, Zizek, and Marxism or whatever, and people had sent in questions. And this is how you prefaced a question. You said, Trip, we only have an hour and a half, and there's 5 questions. I need you to know that right now. There are 5 questions. And this is just the first one for some people that maybe didn't have the background to what you and Jeremy were assuming. All right? And you're like, you do this bit, and I'm like, okay, what is it? And you go, why would a Christian even read Karl Marx? and you say maybe just 3 statements, and then we're going to move on. You could tell them a book to read if you want. It was one of these things where I go, oh, I know what's happening. Bo's just sitting there going, I'm gonna have to edit this if it
exactly.
And then the topic for the podcast is next week, which is probably about to happen, where we're going to talk about Peter Thiel next week. But yeah. Anyway, that was my nostalgia listen for this year on the anniversary, is noticing in those early ones where you're just like, whoa, yeah. This is gonna be. We gotta.
Oh boy!
Do you remember the first TNT one we did on Lord of the Rings with Gregory Walker?
No.
Oh, dude, it was one of these. It was so good, and we're like, we were up in my office in Palos Verdes, and then
oh yeah,
and we were on Zoom with him and stuff, and we're like,
I do remember this.
We were complaining about the movies doing Faramir nasty or whatever, and then he's like, well, which one of you likes Lord of the Rings more? And
between us,
yeah, and I was like, why are you trying to start a fight? And then you just go, only one of us has a tattoo. And then there's like a whole excursus, which this is high quality podcasting, where no one that can see this is then hearing a conversation between you two, shoving your Lord of the Rings tattoos into the screen.
I do remember this. You know what interview I thought about going back and listening to? It popped up in my time hop. It was from 14 years ago. Remember when I got to talk to Mark Ellis?
Mm-hmm.
And we were up in that room, and somebody who had been in there before us had microwaved ramen too long, and it melted the styrofoam and fried the noodles, and it stunk in that room like nothing you and I had smelled before. And we had to try and air it out because we had this famous author coming on. And it smelled so bad. And but anyway, that picture popped up in my time hop that you took of me interviewing Mark Ellis.
Oh man. I mean, and people should just Google Mark Ellis. And what was his son's name? Who he came to a number of live podcasts, and I think he was in graduate school in Texas.
Right.
Super cool guy. But Mark Ellis was kind of one of the earliest academic religion scholars looking at Israel-Palestine relationship and all the problems that have become increasingly transparent in it. And
from a liberation standpoint, right?
Yeah. No, he wasn't doing. He wasn't charting the end of the world.
You have to make that distinction these days.
Yeah. It was he anticipated a lot of things a lot of other people have recognized, in the aftermath of October 7th. So, okay, what I'm just going to say this here. We'll talk more about Peter Thiel and stuff, but I think it would be cool to get someone who's an artist and has enough background in weird chart stuff to make a chart that we could put on a poster at camp that explains how Peter Thiel's the Antichrist. But you got to have cool cartoon imagery for it. I want one of those.
Tim Whitaker's going to want to be on this subcommittee.
Oh, I bet. He's probably got he probably has an outline for it already.
Right. He's going to catch wind of this, and you're going to get a text this afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, we're supposed to talk tonight, so I'm going to be like, Tim, I need your help. And though, he was so close to it recently, it might just be triggering to be like, we don't need to do that trip. Why do we need to hand out a chart? And I'm like, why not? I'll tell him, you're too new into this. You don't understand the secret that Colton knows. It's the classic Bible verse. Marx was right. Lord of the Rings, Nephilim pipeline. That's a high quality chart.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it, normally people at camp are like, oh, look at this cool IP stuff, but this is a God podcalypse. We got all the apocalyptic IP. But what about the original apocalyptic IP? Bible charts. A Bible chart with the Bible to Marx, to Lord of the Rings, Nephilim pipeline, Peter Thiel's the Antichrist. You could get that poster, put it on your wall, and people are just going to talk to you about it. They're going to be like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then you're going to say, you don't know? They're like, I've never seen a poster on my pastor's wall that has Bible verses, Marx quotes, Gandalf lines, pictures of giants, Persian spirits, and Peter Thiel.
You know what you and I haven't talked about yet is how similar this idea of mountain spirits is to a Balrog. That's something we should talk about.
That is a centerpiece. We are now piecing this together.
Okay.
There is a big mountain in this Kaza Doom. and we got Netanyahu as Wormtongue. We got Trump as Denethor.
Yeah.
And it's just Trump eating tomatoes while he sends the American military out to utter defeat and humiliation and undermining the American dollar and demonstrating that we waste tons of money on the military and can't even keep a strait open that was already open before he decided to start something. And he's just chomping on little cherry tomatoes, juice running all over his face. and he's not even looking at the battle. He's looking at the MMA fight in his ballroom. Do you think the ballroom is going to have a new demon emerge that's over it? Like when you build a big ballroom, because it's got all those bunkers and stuff underneath. I'm just saying.
It is a definite candidate for what would we call that? Oh, we had a name for it. Shoot, I'm in spiritual warfare. There's a name for it's like a stronghold.
Oh yeah,
it's a regional. It's a damn. What is it called? I can't remember the name of it.
Well, I'm sure it'll show up in a nightmare this week.
You know what I'm realizing is when you and I miss a week, we make up for it in banter the following week.
Well, because you have to let it out. You know, it's an essential feature of existence. Some people go, "Oh, you got to make sure you have a therapist," or you just have a podcast with your bestie on Friday mornings while you smoke cigars. This is the other way that you wrestle with your finitude and find hope in the meaning of the apocalypse of late modern capitalism. You could have undermining the nation states. You could have rampant inflation. You could have the harnessing of power in the techno elites, the emergence of a new form of feudalism, growing surveillance state, and the most popular form of Christianity is on satanic cocaine, a chart in the end of the world with Bible verses and quotes from Tarantino films. And you're like, well, how do you handle all this in your existence? You either need a therapist or Theology Nerd Throwdown. There might be other options. Those are the two I have.
Dude, I know we're going to talk about this probably something like this next week, but honestly, this upside down, it is so confusing and disorienting that like when they quote Pulp Fiction like as a prayer and misappropriate verses from Isaiah in their war debriefings, it's like honestly, and it is so nutty. You have to understand like the drunken just opium sweat dream that we live in right now. It is so insane. People have stopped asking, like even 10 years ago, people would say, like, I don't know what happened. Like, how did the German people allow the rise of Hitler and the Holocaust? Like, no one asks that anymore. Like,
you're like, well, stuff like that happens, Bo.
We know how it happens.
I know. What happens is Joe Biden becomes president, but he's senile. And then the leftist cabal starts invading America. And they do crazy things like extend healthcare. Get people to believe in the China hoax called global warming. They don't want to drill baby drill all the time. And we all know what happens when you drill baby drill. You're undermining the mountains of satanic thresholds. And
woke mountain.
Yeah, we're gonna what's it called when they like what's the kind of like when they're getting natural gas out by blasting stuff?
Fracking.
Yeah. We're gonna frack Woke Mountain. We can finally tell jokes again.
Yeah. Oh man. It is kooky town out there right now.
Here's something you remember how concerned people were about free speech?
Yeah. You mean 2 years ago?
Yeah. What happened?
The upside down, man.
I know. Okay, so maybe what we do is you got to give do your little 4 stages because you didn't get to the 4th, and that'll be our teaser.
Okay,
and then we'll explain.
Stage 4 cancer.
We're gonna unpack. We're gonna unpack stage 4 next week. And in the meantime, it's really important for our regulars in the chat they also type Jack Van Impe into their social media short feed just to see some of these classics.
Be careful what you wish for.
I need other people suffering like me, where I tried just saying I don't want to see this, and it just keeps coming. I need you to set the 3 things up. Tell me the 4th. Then maybe I can, that way I can hear the 4th and then try to structure all my Peter Thiel material to make sure that next week we have thoroughly outed him as the Antichrist or the cigarette holder for the Antichrist. I don't, either one.
Yeah. It's all right. I'll look forward to it. I'll do a very quick summation, and then we'll get into stage 4, and then God knows where that's going to lead us.
I don't know, Bo. I don't think God knows the future, so it's in process.
By the way, we didn't even bring up Rene Girard yet.
Oh, like, I got a whole bunch on that.
I know. There's so much we haven't even touched on in the Kooky Town.
I know, but you have to get prepared because for, you know, except for like the members of the podcast that have the right kind of evangelical baggage, they don't even know about the first 3 stages before they get to the to the new stage.
It's why I wanted to do it dichronically and not synchronically, is I needed to walk through how we got here, not just where we are.
And I always try to avoid synchronic.
By the way, only on a throwdown to say a sentence like that. The AI spider is going to crawl all over that.
Oh, all right. You got to give us our cliff notes.
Okay. Do you want me to do a fun benediction?
Well, you got to give your cliff notes first, so I know what I'm setting up for before you give the benediction.
Oh,
I want you to tell me about, just give me the brief heads up on 4, so I know next week. That way I can organize my material to be so compelling that we have identified the Antichrist next week.
Okay. All right.
Like, we're going to give a reveal next week. Who knows? I might switch it up.
Sorry. I thought we were coming up with the plan for next week. Yes. Let me do
next week. We will set it all up. I need you to remind me.
Okay. Gotcha. Now I'm tracking.
I can hyperlink
everything
together for the Antichrist reveal.
All right. So in stage 4, take everything you know in stage 3 and then turn it inside out. So what in stage 3 you thought that the Antichrist would harness economic, political, and religious power to seduce people and harmonize technology in the markets, like the mark of the beast, right? And so would be on the leading edge of technological innovation and adoption of all policies and all this stuff. In Peter Thiel's model, it's the opposite of that. The Antichrist is the one who is resisting technological innovation in things like AI, genome splicing, surveillance. It's the resistance that is Antichrist. So anything that tries to use political power, economic leverage, religious rhetoric to undermine technological progress is the Antichrist. So you just have to take what you did in stage 3 and just invert it.
Ooh. All right.
It gets weird. So that's why people like Greta Thunberg and other people you wouldn't expect that he might be suspicious. Pope Leo.
Oh.
Right? Like there's some people he's suspicious of playing this role, but it's not the people in stage 3. Like in stage 3, you would think, well, maybe Trump, maybe Peter Thiel, maybe, right?
Yeah.
No. Think of the opposite of that. So stage 4 is just the opium sweat dream. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to people in stage 3.
It might be a ketamine sweat dream.
Yeah. So anyway, things like the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
In the early the Bible dictionary thing that I read earlier, the Roman Empire is a bad thing. But in stage 4, it's actually Roman Empire is a good thing.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of stuff that gets reversed or inverted in stage 4 that you think in stage 3, like I it's not that I've bought into it, but I think I get it. And then you're going to get lost again in this Peter Thiel use of the Antichrist.
Okay. Well, I definitely got lost in the Peter Thiel use of the Antichrist reading those lectures, and it's nuts. But I'm also glad that you aren't buying any of this, Bo. I'm glad you clarified that, because I'm sure people were sitting there going, I'd already started working out my chart, and then I found Bo wasn't buying it. Okay, so we'll stage 4 next week, and you honestly, you can't trust a 4th stage. That's like, you got to stick with the 3rd. That's when it's Trinity's all complete. 4th stage, there's no quaternity in this piece, even if it is the Antichrist. Oh, all right. Bo, are you ready to give us a benediction?
I would love to give you a benediction.
Okay, good, because I want a benediction so I can use the restroom.
Times are tough out there, brother, so it's time to harden up for the catacon, and I'll see you in Valhalla, brother.